Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be playing with our super glossy Canon photo paper and multiple sprays, like all of the sprays, you guys. And the first one we're going to check out is Distress Oxide. And this is actually the perfect spray to show you all the benefits of using photo paper with sprays to make backgrounds like this. This is an amazing Karen Tamir stencil, by the way. Okay, so the thing with photo paper is the chemical properties of it. I don't know what it is about it, but it makes the sprays dry really fast, and two, photo paper really likes dye-based things, not just sprays, but anything that is dye based. If it's dye based, it's almost 100% going to be permanent on photo paper. Now, this won't happen every time, but there's a very good chance it'll be permanent on photo paper. But if you take a look at what's happening here, I am rubbing off the top layer of this spray that I put on. Now what this is Distress Oxide is both pigment and dye. That's what makes it a Distress Oxide. So the dye part is, as you can see, it's on the paper and it's not coming off. Even though I'm spraying it with water and rubbing it down, that dye part is not coming off. But that powdery stuff I'm rubbing off, that is the pigment. That is the part that makes it an oxide. But this is the great thing though. Distress Oxide, all of the Distress line, with the exception of the paints, I think, are not permanent when they're dry, when they dry. So you can re-wet it and it will move, the color will move, but not if you put it on photo paper like this. If you put it on photo paper, the dye portion is not going anywhere. I mean, that's permanent and it's glossy. So if you're ever looking for a way to make your Distress Oxides look like that, glossy, and also be permanent, photo paper is a good way to go. Now this is Distress Spray Stains. This is 100% dye. There's no pigment in the spray stains, so we're not going to have that powdery substance that comes off the top. So the spray stains are going to be permanent as well. These will dry super fast, and they will not re-wet when you spray them with water. This is another amazing Karen Tamir stencil here. And the three colors that I'm using, as you saw, were our Weatherwood, Pick, Raspberry, and Seedless Preserves, maybe? Is that what this is? I think that's what this is. Yeah, I think so. Something like that. But as you can see, I'm spraying it with water, and the amount of movement that you would normally get with a Distress spray stain, you just don't see here. Now, this has a specific, use, a specific purpose. If you're looking for your sprays to be permanent, photo paper is a good option. Now, you may not want this super high gloss, and photo paper comes in lots of different finishes, luster, high gloss, semi-gloss, matte even. And I've used so many different varieties, and I can say that with pretty much every one of them, these sprays were permanent. So even a super matte photo paper will give you a permanent finish with the Distress sprays. So I mean, this is a great option if that's something that you're looking for, permanency, and you don't want the Distress sprays to re-wet when you spray them with water. Now, this takes away some of the things that are great about Distress. Like, you can't get a lot of blending. You can't get a lot of movement because the sprays start to dry as soon as you put them on the photo paper. But you can get some really good effects anyway. And I do like using the Distress sprays on these papers. Now this is more Distress Spray Stain, 3 different colors. aged mahogany, rusty hinge, and weathered wood. And I'm just using this technique that I've been using this whole time, spraying it down and then getting another piece of photo paper and putting it on the top so I can get a 2-for-1 print. I really like these 3 colors together. I think they're very complementary. And that ink that is on the glass mat, you can mop that up like you would with watercolor paper. I mean, it all will work just same, only what you have right there is permanent. Like, it's not going to move around anymore. But it's still, like, it's a great background. Look at that. Like, you can do so much on top of that as well. Like, I think I'm going to go on top of it right now. This is a, I don't know. I think it's a Crafter's Workshop stencil, and I'm just spraying through it, and I'm going to not waste that ink on top of that stencil. I'm going to get another print out of it. That what you see me spraying when I'm spraying stuff is just water that I put in my own little spray bottle. Now, even though these inks will be permanent once they dry, if you add water to the paper before you spray it down, it'll still increase the movement of the ink as you spray it out. I think I'm just trying to get as many prints as I can with this stencil, and so I'm going over the top of it right now. This ended up being one of my favorite prints, I think. I mean, even that, I like that too. Oh yeah, I remember this one. This is one that I really did like quite a bit. I think that just looks great, and I mean, just the fact that it's permanent means I can work on top of it. I can do a lot more with it without having to worry about it, the part that I like, re-wetting and getting ruined. So this is another stencil and another set of prints with this color combination. I don't know where I got this stencil. I think this is just one of the generic geometric ones I got off of Amazon. I'll check that out, and if I can find it, I'll drop a link. I think even that looks very cool. I'm going to show all of these at the end so you'll get another look at them. This is a grunge studio light stencil, and this is the third set of sprays, Dylusions. Now, Dylusions was the only set of sprays that really behaved a little differently than all the rest. Dylusions, like Distress, is not permanent, meaning once it's dry you can spray it with water and re-wet it and keep moving it around. I was expecting that once I sprayed this on the photo paper that it would be permanent like the Distress sprays, but it ended up not being permanent, but it kind of acted in a way that it was unexpected. Like, I'm spraying over it here, and I'm covering some of that deep blue color with some other colors. But what I found is that those other colors lifted the blue. It's hard to explain, but it did things I was not expecting. And ultimately, it still looked very beautiful. I still loved the result. I wasn't expecting all of that blue ink to come up from the first prints. But you'll see it's not coming up in a way that is predictable. Like, I'm not feeling like I can go in there and lift out the blue completely in any place, right? It's lifting, but not in a way that I was expecting or that I feel like I can predict. So that was the Distress Sprays. The next group, these are the Dina Wakley Gloss Sprays. Womp womp. Yeah. none of my Dina Wakley sprays, actually not most of my Dina Wakley sprays are not functional as sprays, and that is really just an unfortunate thing. Like, I used to try to do all of the, take the sprayer out and soak it in water and do all these things, but it's just like it's so much if you're using a lot of sprays, and it didn't really work all the time. This is one spray that did actually spray, and that's because this color Ruby is pretty new, and I don't think I've used it very much. So all of my Dina Wakley sprays, or not all, like I said, but most of them are kind of out of commission, which is just obnoxious. I love the Dina Wakley sprays, and I just wish they didn't clog as much as they do. So with these sprays, I mean, this is acrylic, so acrylic is permanent regardless. It's not like the Distress sprays that could re-wet on watercolor paper. This is acrylic. It wouldn't be re-wetting either on photo paper or watercolor. So it is a little different, but the results can be beautiful. They can be unpredictable. Like the way that acrylic acts on this paper is really, I really enjoyed it. And the Marabu Art Sprays was probably my favorite set of sprays to use on the photo paper, just because they just gave a great grungy effect that I really enjoy. Now these are also acrylic sprays, and I like the Marabu Art Sprays because they're not glossy like Dina Wakley, but they are acrylic and they are generally permanent, and I don't get any clogs with the Marabu sprays. I have not had a bottle clog yet with these, so I mean that's just a pro in the category of acrylic sprays for me. And so using this photo paper, like with the gloss sprays, these are sprays that would be permanent anyway, but the way that they work on the photo paper, I really kind of enjoy the way that it looks. Now this is a Karen Tamir mask. This is part of her newer or more recent release on joggles.com. Now look at that. Like I like that as a background. It's a beautiful start to something. These acrylic sprays they dry quite quickly, so I wasn't able to pull up really a lot of that spray once it went down. I guess I'm going with some high contrast here. I went over this with a black acrylic spray, and I really liked the result. I liked it more when I smashed another piece of paper on top of it, which I did slightly off camera. I think I'm going to do that here. But I took another piece of photo paper, I put it on top, and just smushed it, and so I ended up with a second print that had all the black on it, and that's there. And then the first one ended up looking really grungy, and I liked it a lot more after I removed some of that black paint from the top. You couldn't really see that. I think you'll see it more at the end when I do a review of all my prints. So this is I'm not sure. I forget who made this stencil. I'll leave it in the description though, because I have it written down somewhere. And first I went with a color called Cocoa, as you saw from the Marabu Art Sprays, and this color is really interesting. Like the way that it wicks out, the way that it breaks down. If you look at that, like there's so many different hues and values in there. It's not just dark brown, like there's a lot of it that looks vintagey. There's a little yellow in there. I ended up enjoying this color quite a bit, and what I did with it as a bonus spray, I mixed it with the Distress Mica stains. These are part of the new release of the Mica stains that are seasonal, and this is a limited release. I think if you didn't get any, like they're mostly sold out all over the place, and they're sold out because they are just incredible. It's hard to see the way that they shine on camera, but they have an incredible shine and sheen and shimmer. The thing is though, the mica sprays, much like the Distress Oxide sprays, the mica is not permanent, is not going to stay on the paper, and you couldn't see it, but the other sheet that I mushed on top of the mica stain spray, the page with the mica stain, all of the shimmery part came off, because that's the part that isn't permanent. It's not a dye like the rest of it. So the shiny part disappeared, but it still has an effervescence. It has a shimmer. It has a gloss. Just that's just the way that those sprays are. So this is the recap. These are the greatest hits, so to speak. I'm not going to show everything that I did on the photo paper, but these are some of the ones that I liked quite a bit, or that I liked the most. And you can just see how beautiful these are. Like how great would these be as just starter pages, backgrounds, to use in your art journal, to die cut, to make embellishments with. Like, I think these, and it was so fast because photo paper dries so quickly. You're able to bang out a whole bunch of backgrounds in no time at all. So these are some of my favorites, and I think the ones I did with the Marabu Art Sprays, I think those ended up being my favorite of all. These were great too. This is the Dylusions, and those ended up really beautiful. So many of these. I have so many favorites here. I probably like those least of all. The Dina Wakley. That's a bonus one. When I spilled all of my spray on the table, I was able to make a whole bunch of extra prints with the spilled paint and the spilled spray. But look at these. These are the Marabu Art Sprays, and these just came out so grungy and beautiful. And I really enjoyed working with those Marabu sprays on this medium. Look at that. That's gorgeous. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really had fun playing with these sprays and photo papers, and I hope you guys will give this a try yourself. It's so easy and straightforward. So thanks for watching, you guys. Have a creative day, and I'll see you next time.